Hidalgo Drinkerinos. It's the 21st episode of the Idaho Booze Podcast with me, Steve Kuntz. The pod is finally old enough to drink. Let's go buy it a beer, why don't we? So I'm going to tell you how to maintain a good buzz and what cocktails to try out over Turkey Day in the first annual Thanksgiving drinking primer. Plus, Loose Screw Beer Company's swanky new downtown Meridian location is now open. I'll have the boys on from Loose Screw to talk about the new place and what makes their new brew house so damn special. And in Friday Night Pints, I will review a few of the releases at Loose Screw, so you know what to order when you get over there. All that and more on this 21st episode of the Idaho Booze Podcast. This show is brought to you by Boise Beer Buddies. Going out for beers has become very pricey. With some breweries charging $8 a pint, you need some way to offset that cost while still going out and drinking beers. The secret code to drinking cheap in the Gem State is the Boise Beer Buddies card. The card, and now an amazing Beer Buddies app and digital card, grants you access to hundreds of dollars in savings every single day at bars, restaurants, breweries, and tap rooms all across the state. The best part is the cost. It's only $25 a year. And if you're a listener to this podcast, then you know we got you covered, along with your favorite drinking buddy, with 2-for-1 Boise Beer Buddies cards using my promo code BOOZEPOD. Let's face it, you're already buying the beer. Now be a buddy. Get your Boise Beer Buddies membership today at boisebeerbuddies.com. Use promo code BOOZEPOD at checkout, all one word there, BOOZEPOD, and get a free year-long membership when you purchase one. That's promo code BOOZEPOD. Be a buddy and sign up for Boise Beer Buddies today. Welcome back to the show. Next week is the official start of the holiday drinking season, and I want to make sure you are ready to rock and roll. When it comes to upcoming holiday parties, I'm going to go over a few scenarios and let you know the best way to behave and what to drink. Plus, I'll have a couple of Idaho-centric holiday cocktails for you to mix it up and share with your friends and family. So the first scenario is a doozy. This is Thanksgiving at the in-laws. Now, this also applies if it's your girlfriend's parents' house, your boyfriend's parents' house, your partner's parents' house, whoever it is. You're going over to their house. You want to look good. You want to stay soberish. You're going to want to drink, first of all. You're going to want to get drunk. And I'm here to tell you, don't do that. Don't get drunk. Don't get wasted. Just have a whiskey or get an old fashioned right when you arrive and drink that one down fast. So you get your whiskey, you drink the first one down so fast, maybe nobody even notices you had it because right away you're into your second one. And that's the one you're going to sip during cocktail hours. So you're just going to keep that one nice and even. You're going to laugh at people's jokes. You're going to introduce yourself. You're going to be the consummate pro at this place because these people are all judging you and they are judging you for everything that you do. So make sure you're not getting too sloppy out there. Now, if you're a wine drinker, you can kind of apply that too. You can have that first wine pretty quick, then get the second one in there, and then maybe just keep that wine glass filled. Don't let it ever get empty so people don't see you with an empty drink because then they'll think that you're drinking a lot. So you want to keep like a nice balance between drinking enough to get through this thing and not getting super sloppy. So for dinner, you're going to be classy. You're going to get some red wine. I'm going to recommend the Cinder Laissez-Faire, the red blend from them. Really good wine, goes nicely with all food. It's got that high acidity rate that our guy Joe talked about. So you're going to try that out with maybe one glass of champagne. So if there's a champagne toast, go ahead, do that. And then you're on to red wine. And that's where you're staying for the rest of the night is red wine. You don't want to go back to whiskey or go back to anything else that you were drinking before. Just stick with that wine. You'll be just fine. So a big thing with me on Thanksgiving is you want to stay away from beer because it's just going to fill you up and you want to save room for pie. Plus, if you stay soberish, you'll be able to remember all the crazy shit your partner's aunties start talking about after dinner. And that's important because that's going to be something you're going to be able to talk about later with your partner and your, and their family later on as you develop that relationship. So that's the way to do Thanksgiving at the in-laws. So the next one we have, this is a scenario that, 2 words you never want to hear from your spouse. We're hosting. Buckle up, little Bronco, because you will need to alternatively keep your game face on for the throng of people coming over, and you will want to put away as many drinks as possible so as to not have to think about the amount of cleanup you have to do after this thing is done. You're at your own house, you're drinking your own booze, so we're going to go with a cocktail. Not just any cocktail, because you don't want to be playing bartender all night, getting ice and shaking and mixing and listening to people. You want to make a giant version of a cocktail that you can just kind of, fill up cups with. So unless your name is Ben Hart and you do want to play bartender all night, these freezer door cocktails are for you. This is basically just a giant version of a cocktail you make. You stick it in the freezer, and then when someone wants one, you just pour it in the glass with maybe a little bit of ice and a garnish. No shaking, no mixing, no dashing, no daring, nothing, none of that crap. You're just making the drink as the people want them. You're just pouring it from the bottle straight into the glass there. So the first one we're going to do, super fancy, great, Thanksgiving drink. This thing is kind of sweet, kind of bitter. It's a Manhattan. This is a classic holiday cocktail. You're going to want to go, and we're going to shout out to our boy Keith Nero here. 12 ounces of 1792 bourbon, or any other bourbon, but 1792, it's a nice bourbon. You're going to like that one. You're going to get a fresh sweet vermouth, and you're going to add 6 ounces to that. So 6 ounces of sweet vermouth, 6 generous dashes of Warren Reserve aromatic bitters. So just like their normal, kind of the Angostura type bitters, they're aromatic bitters, 6 generous dashes of that. So big old dashes. And then you're going to add to that 3 ounces of water. Now you're going to say to me, Steve, why are we diluting the cocktail? This is because you're already diluting the cocktail if you're shaking this thing up. Believe me, this is the way to go. You want to put it in there, measure all the ingredients out, funnel them into an empty bottle, put a cap on that thing, give it a good mix, taste it, make sure it's bitter enough. So if it's too sweet, add another dash of bitters, or if it's too bitter, add a little bit more vermouth if needed. Freeze that one for at least 3 hours. It's going to make 6 drinks. So you might want to make 2 of those if you're going to be doing Manhattans. Now, I'm going to give you a really fun old-fashioned recipe that I got from the Thirsty Whale. He's on Instagram and TikTok. He might be on Facebook too. I don't know. Anyway, this guy, the Thirsty Whale, he's great. Go find him. Follow him. He's really an awesome bartender. And this old-fashioned recipe is weird. It uses milk to clarify and stabilize the cocktail. So you're going to make this giant cocktail, and then you're going to pour milk into it. And then what's going to happen, I'll tell you. Let me just give you the ingredients first. It's really cool. So you're going to do 4 cups of Koenig Caldwell Nights Rodeo whiskey. That stuff we had with Andy. Great stuff. You're going to go 6 ounces of house-made barrel-aged old-fashioned syrup. Stuff is awesome. It comes already bittered. So we're just going to do 2 big dashes of that Warren Reserve aromatic bitters. Just 2 dashes of that. Then we're going to do a cup of water and then a cup of whole milk. And then before you add the milk, add just a pinch of salt to that to give it a little bit more flavor, kind of make those flavors pop a little bit. So you're going to pour everything into a bowl. You're going to add the milk last. Cover the bowl overnight. The next day, you will see the milk is curdled, and you're going to see it's going to look kind of gross, but everything's going to kind of float to the top. So you're going to strain out the milk using a couple of paper towels or a cheesecloth or whatever. And what's going to happen is those milk curds are going to settle into the paper towel and sort of create a filter for your cocktail. And you're going to pour that cocktail into an empty bottle. Once you've separated the milk curd from the cocktail, all you have to do then is you're going to have this bottle of a beautiful, clarified old-fashioned. It's going to look really pretty, and it's going to taste amazing. And also, because of the filtering and the clarifying kind of thing that you're doing here, this thing is shelf-stable. You don't have to refrigerate it if you don't want to, but you should. And it's going to last for as long as you need it to last. I mean, if it's just for this one party, great. If not, it'll last forever. So make it this recipe should make 8 to 12 drinks. And we're going to have that recipe and all these other recipes on the show notes for you as well. Finally, let's do a freezer door Cosmo for the ladies. We're going to do 12 ounces of 44 North Tangerine vodka. Shout out, Ben. 8 ounces of triple sec. 4 ounces of fresh lime juice. Let me just repeat that. Fresh lime juice. So 4 ounces is going to be like a lime and a half, something like that. Then you're going to do 1 ounce of cranberry juice. You're going to pour all that into an empty booze bottle, give it a mix, taste it for sweetness. Now, with Cosmos, you want them to be kind of sweet, but, it might get away from you a little bit. Maybe you need to add a little bit more vodka to kind of even it out, or maybe some more lime juice to kind of keep it from getting too sweet. So when you serve this one, you're going to pour it into chilled martini glasses with a cranberry and a rosemary sprig for garnish, and that's going to make 6 drinks for you. And then with the old-fashioned and the Manhattan, those are really easy. With the garnish, you just do with an old-fashioned orange peel and a cherry, And with the Manhattan, you just do a cherry. Piece of cake. This is going to make your hosted Thanksgiving so much easier and so much more fun. You're not going to have to play bartender. You're not going to have to run back and forth. Where's my bitters? Where's my booze? Where's my triple sec? No, none of that shit. You're going to make these giant freezer door cocktails, and they're going to be awesome for you for your Thanksgiving party. Now, the last scenario we have here is a Friendsgiving, or even worse, a work friends Thanksgiving. Oh, this is a gut punch sometimes. You get invited. You don't have anywhere else to go. Maybe you're in a weird town. Maybe you don't know anybody. Maybe your family's not there. Whatever it is, you got to go. So we want to keep it simple. We want you to be the hero of this party. So you're going to hit up Trader Joe's. You're going to go pick out a French bottle of wine that looks expensive. We're talking flourish, people. You want to see something on top. You want to see a nice like gold wax cap, or you want to see a nice like flag on the label or something. You got to make it look expensive. But the key is it's not. It's under $15. That's the bottle of wine for you. Then you'll want to get 4 bottles of $2 Chuck. Now it's $3, but you know what I mean. The Charles Shaw. Can't go wrong with this stuff. Everybody, it's not good. It's not bad, but it's right in the middle, and it costs $3. So you're going to get 4 bottles of that. Get any kind you want. Get the Pinot, get the Cab, get the red, get the white. It doesn't matter. Now you're going to go to Target, and you're going to buy literally any game. Cards Against Humanity, Cranium, Go Fish, Dice, whatever. Guess what? You just became the hero of the Friendsgiving or the Work Friends Thanksgiving party. Have fun. Be safe out there. Don't say anything you're going to regret. These are work friends or just friends. So you want to make sure to keep your game going. You're going to have a nice game night. You're going to have fun. You're going to have some wine. It'll be a really good time. There you have it. You are now primed for Thanksgiving party season. Get out there and show some class. Those cocktail recipes will be on the show notes, so do not worry about getting them down as I'm saying them. Coming up, I head over to Loose Screw Beer Company's brand new downtown Meridian digs to talk all about the new brewery, their plans to put out some more old school lagers, and everything else you need to know when you visit them, hopefully this weekend. That's all next on the Idaho Booze Podcast. This show brought to you by Treasure Valley Chevron. Treasure Valley Chevron locations at Highway 55 in Beacon Light and I-84 at Gowan Road have everything you need for, well, everything. Need beer and wine for an epic weekend up in McCall? TVC has hundreds of local beers, wines, and ready-to-drink cocktails to choose from at or below the cost of a grocery store. Looking for a snack? You couldn't ask for a wider selection of chips, candy, and jerky than at Treasure Valley Chevron. Email your next TVC purchase to me at idahoboozepod@gmail.com, and you could win a ginormous box of jerky from Treasure Valley Chevron. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz here with Mike, Jake, and Marcos from Loose Screw Brewing. Guys, what's up?
Hey Steve, thanks for having us.
Hey Steve, yeah, appreciate you coming in, checking out the new facility.
Yeah, welcome in.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for the beer that I'm enjoying here. This is the Meridian Haze. Talk to me about how this thing came along, or what are the flavor profiles we're looking for in here, and all that fun stuff. It's a nice looking beer. Looks like a sunset almost. It's really very pretty. So tell us all about kind of what went into this one.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head with the sunset thing, because that's kind of what I was going for with this particular beer in the color-wise. Getting a little bit more color in a non-traditional hazy. You're looking at kind of a straw color, super light, which fits well for the style, but this one, we wanted to go a little bit on that orange or below style, or SRM side of the scale. So if you want to get in depth with the ingredients a little bit, I can kind of tell you what we got.
Just maybe the hops.
Yeah, you want to know the hops on this one?
Yeah.
So this one, actually we did a mash hop on this one. So if I remember right, it was a 25-pound bag of CTZ flower hops we added in the mash. Mash hopping just kind of helps bring across those flavors without getting that bitterness. So we're trying to convert some of those acids, but not all. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. Is more of a steep there with that mash temp. Mash temp's a little bit on the higher side, so 155 on this guy, trying to give it that rounded body. And that goes along with the water profiling too, to give that soft mouth pelly feel to this beer. So you're getting a lot of those tropical notes that you guys are smelling, and that's we're heavy hopping this one. This one's we're talking 3.5 pounds per barrel, upwards of 4 on the dry hop. And I feel like that's the difference between a good hazy and a great hazy to me.
Yeah, well, any IPA really, if you pack in
it is
3.5 pounds per barrel, you're gonna get some hop flavor in there.
So this one we had the mash hop CTZ, and then we did Citra, Simcoe, and a Strata mix.
It's Columbus, Tomahawk, Zeus.
Yep,
is that what
that's
CTZ
correct.
is? How did I pull that one out? And just so everyone knows, there's a little video that we have that'll accompany this episode, and we are here at your brand new facility in Meridian, gorgeous new facility. And we have some construction going on in the background.
You can hear it.
So if you hear like a random sawzall or what was that? That sound like a drill, maybe. Like that is we are right in the middle of a construction zone. We all have hard hats on. We'll just paint the picture. Marcos is wearing yellow vest. We're just very like in a construction zone at this point. You were in the final days before getting this place open, and talk about what that's been like and sort of what the lead up to it has been like for you guys.
Yeah, sure. And I would tell them to be quiet, maybe stop for a little while, but I really need them to finish it.
No, go quicker. Be louder.
So this journey with this company, I'll just start there. I purchased this company about 2.5 years ago. With really the plan in mind to open up a second location. Being in a more high destination, touristy kind of draw area from surrounding communities. And we found really all along from day one, downtown Meridian was always the spot. We did like some areas of Eagle and a few other towns, but just downtown Meridian was always number one. We really wanted to find a building that checked a number of boxes for us, including a standalone building. So if you've ever been to our McMillan location, we do have, we're in a strip center there, so there are challenges and also some advantages that come with that. But we knew that we wanted to be in a standalone building first and foremost. New building also needed to have production space. We needed to have a large tap room, huge beer garden, and parking. So
and that's it.
Yeah,
that's all you wanted was all that stuff.
Yeah,
and a human-sized freezer. Is that something that you also was looking for?
Yeah, we definitely needed a big fridge, and a real big added bonus, that we're currently sitting in right now, having this interview is our event space. So this event space, we get hit up quite often for a private 40-person party. We just can't accommodate that at our current tap room because of its wide open space, and I have a really difficult time shutting down our tap room to the general public on a Friday night because someone wants to host their party and we'll shut out all of our regulars. So this space up here will allow us to do that. Really excited about it. Overlooks our brewery operation down there, so I think it's kind of an added bonus, and just gives us the ability to host those private parties.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate you calling this an interview. That's nice of you to say. It's more of a loose chat, I would say. But yeah, no, you're right. So this place you guys have torn it down literally to the studs and built it back up into what it is here, which is a really beautiful new facility. What are sort of the kind of special aspects of it that you guys were able to put in because you built it from the ground up that you're really excited about?
Yeah, structurally, it didn't really make for what we wanted, the space to, feel like. When I think of a brewery and the ones that I've enjoyed is, kind of that wide open community kind of feel where you walk in and, you strike up a conversation with your neighbor across the way. But this building was very compartmentalized throughout. So we had to knock down a lot of walls. There's literally not one wall in there that exists from the original state. This building was built back in the 50s too, so there was a lot of and if that wall stayed, we furred it out just that way we can run electrical or plumbing through that wall, which this building received all new electrical, plumbing, HVAC, you name it. Really, to be honest with you, sitting here now, nearing completion, we should have really tore down this building and started over. But I think the characteristics and what it adds in being its kind of original, somewhat original facade really adds to the character of the building rather than being kind of your style of traditional construction today. And so we have that space, that wide open space as you walk in, as you saw in the video probably if you've already watched it. We've got a couple, more private spaces that allow for kind of a smaller meeting space. In addition to pretty much wherever you're at, within the tap room or even out in our beer garden, you can see into the production space, which was really important to me. To not only highlight this expensive new system we got from Premier, which Jake and Marcos I'm sure will love to talk about more, but we wanted to be able to showcase that, whether it's through the big bank of windows in the tap room or through the glass roll-up garage door out front.
Yeah, pretty much wherever you are, you can look into the brewery and tell if these guys are slacking off. You just be like, hey, and just tap on the glass. Back to work, you two.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about the brewery a little bit. You guys have a couple of cool features in there. We talked about it in the video a little bit. But go ahead and talk to us about, you got a couple of horizontal lagering tanks in there. It looks like you're set up to do some old world beers. What's going on there, and what are sort of your inspirations for doing it that way?
Yeah, so the decoction is something we have the ability to do, the lagering tanks, but I think Jake should talk about where it all starts, what beer is made out of with our RO system.
Yeah, I guess we can dabble on that a little bit. So basically RO system, right? Let's talk about that.
That stands for reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis.
This is a water treatment. You have a water treatment facility within this brewing facility.
Pretty much, yeah. So we water comes in domestically. It hits a soft water filter, and then from the soft water filter, and I'm speaking for the production facility here. From the soft water filter, and then it's the RO filter, and then when the RO pushes it into our HLT tank, and then at that point we're blending back at the brewer house with, depending on what temperature striking is. So we're blending back with filtered cold domestic water at that point. So it gives us a nice blank slate for every beer we're going to do. We can modify any of those profiles, and that's one thing I'm super big on, is making sure those water profiles are right there where they need to be per style. And also helping hit those pH numbers as well. But mostly it's just starting with the blank canvas and having that ability, like Marco said, the little nuances that some breweries don't get is working with RO water. And I think that here is a big plus, and I think you're going to be able to taste that difference in the beer as well, and the quality.
Yeah. So for those that are out there that maybe don't know, usually when you have a beer, like and let's call it, when you have a Pilsner or a Helles or any kind of lager, usually, it can happen in IPAs as well, but usually it's those lagers, the kind of lighter beers where there's not as much room to hide. The water chemistry is what separates the okay beers from the good beers, and then what you do beyond that is what separates the good beers from the great beers, right?
Correct. Yep, nailed it on the head there, yeah. I feel working with the blank slate is, the best way to do it. And it just gives us the ability to separate, and again, kind of separate from the crowd.
And you already have a number of lagers out there. You have, what is one called El Zesto? Is that one of them? And Slightly Screwed or Lightly Screwed? How's that one called? Yeah, Lightly Screwed. So what other kind of, since you guys are set up to have, at least 20 barrels of fermentation dedicated to lagers, what sort of lagers are you guys looking to build here at the brewery?
I think just because of where our system is set up, being able to do decoction, we'll probably focus on that. Our first scheduled brew is actually a Bohemian style Pilsner that we'll be decocting.
Go ahead and walk us, Marcos, through what that system, what decocting is.
So yeah, typically I think in most breweries around here in the US are utilizing a single infusion style mash. So you're mixing your grain and your water into your mash tun and trying to achieve a specific temperature and holding that temperature for an hour. So where decoction differentiates is that we'll follow the same step, water to grain ratio into the mash tun, and then it differs from there. So we'll have the ability to pull part of our mash from the bottom of that, send it over to our kettle, which is retrofitted with a mixing blade down at the bottom, and then we'll apply our flame, and we'll typically with decoction you get that up to a boil. So the blade is there to homogenize the mash, make sure there's no scorching on the bottom, and once we get to boiling, using that same piping, we'll send that back over into the mash tun. And really what that's going to do, in part because of the high temperature, we're going to get some the Maillard reaction going on, so some little darker beer, slight extract increase, so higher ABV. It's going to really accentuate that maltiness for us as well. So yeah, it's being the only brewery in the valley able to do that. It's gonna make us unique and again really brew some of these lagers, these German style lagers, Czech style lagers, true to style, because that's what's going on over there. That's what they're doing, have been for hundreds of years, and yeah.
So basically, the decoction method it's very old. This is the way they've been brewing beer since forever, right? So basically, it takes once you get it dialed in, and once you guys start to kind of understand how it works in your system, you basically don't need a thermometer, right? You can just, what if you infuse a certain amount of liquid into the mash, and the mash is at, a certain volume, then you should achieve your numbers without even looking at it, right?
Yeah, once we get a few brews under our belt and get it figured out. Does add a little bit more time as well, obviously a little bit more labor. We invested some money into this whole system to be able to do that as well. That didn't come free or cheap, so.
How long is a typical brew? How long is a typical IPA brew?
On a system like this, you're 6 hours.
6 hours. And a decoction brew will be?
I could think another 2 hours probably.
8 hours.
Yeah.
But the good news is, once you get that first one done, you can run a second decoction brew, and it's only going to take about 4.5 hours for the second one, right? Isn't that the way it works?
We hope that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's what we're shooting for. It's like anything else. The more times you do it, the more times we're going to be learning as we're going to, some of the stuff, and I think once we get it nailed down, it's going to be a pretty flawless transition to being able to do that stuff regularly.
Well, I, for one, am excited to see what names you come up for all these new Pilsners and stuff that you have. So you guys already have a lot of fun names. I've seen that you have, Cheers to the Crazy Ones. Tell me about where the name Loose Screw came from, and, if you guys are nuts. Is that what it is?
I think to take this building, built back from the 50s and do what we did with it definitely takes some loose screws. The name actually came with the acquisition, so we've kind of inherited that name through that process. It wasn't in existence for too long when we made that purchase, so we've embraced it, made some tweaks with it with this location, and really that came about because of the vicinity of our McMillan location to this downtown location. It's not too far away. So we really went for a different feel, vibe, everything we could with this one, which included a little bit of a rebrand. So still the same name, Loose Screw Beer Co., but just a totally different look and feel.
Yeah, the new logo is pretty cool. Tell me a little bit about the new logo, where you kind of got the idea from that. I think it's very classic when I look at it. I think that's a classic beer logo. So tell me about how you guys came up with that and where that kind of came from.
Yeah, actually, one of Marcos's best friends, David, is a graphic designer, and ultimately I went to him since he knows, the company and the history of it. And really, I took him a couple of examples, and I told him, I'm looking for a logo, more cursive style, and just think of the athletics, the A's, a standard logo.
R.I.P.
So he was able to come back and literally nailed it on the head with almost the first or second revision. And then from there, we went through a couple of different, additions to it, with creating a couple different kind of one-off logos that we use on a few things. But yeah, David was definitely instrumental in supporting us with that process.
So sorry that I don't know the sort of background of it. So were either of you guys with Loose Screw when it started? Oh, Marcos was. Okay. Yeah. And so, how long has the brand been around, I guess? How long have you worked here? How long have you been doing it?
5 years, 4 years.
You got it 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Mike?
4 years. I've owned it for 2.5 years.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know any of that stuff.
No worries. Yeah, it was a rebrand of a former brewery out of that same location in Garden City.
I think my issue of Treasure Valley Brew Business Weekly is going to my old address. So I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, so we made the acquisition, and at the time of that acquisition, we were looking for more of a passive investment, to be honest with you.
Goal achieved.
Yeah. Let's seems like it's been
It's totally passive.
60, 70 hours a week right now, especially coming up to completion. But, you know, I came from 20 years of commercial finance, food and beverage manufacturing my entire career, and had been financing breweries for about a dozen years. I'd always had that passion for craft beer, never thought I'd actually own a brewery, but here I am, and I wouldn't change anything about this process or what I'm doing.
And Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from?
Yeah, a little background on me. Originally from Washington State.
Attaboy.
North of Seattle, about 45 minutes in a small town called Stanwood. Super small town, really farmy agriculture up there.
Is that up by Canada? Where is it?
It's actually right in between the Canadian border and Seattle. So I was 40 minutes north.
Everett-y?
A little bit more north than Everett.
Okay.
So like Marysville.
Oh, Marysville. Sure.
Yep. So came from there. Kind of immersed myself in the beer scene 2010-ish.
Marcos, what part of Washington are you from?
I'm from Caldwell, Idaho.
Okay. So kind of far away from
Not the
Washington.
only guy I know here that's
So, Marcos, don't feel left out or anything, but we're just going to talk about Washington for a little while.
Yeah.
Beautiful state.
Yeah.
Great trees.
It is, yeah, for sure. I was a commercial electrician for 16 years. That was my day job. Brewing, the passion of brewing, like I said, came about 2010-ish. Kind of just jumped into the scene there in Washington a little bit. Bellingham down through Everett, and dabbled into some of the ones down there in Seattle. Always had a passion for craft beer. Big home brewer for a long time, award-winning up there. Did a lot of that for a lot of years, building out pretty extravagant home brewery setups. Just because I like building stuff and learning the process, and so really cut my teeth doing that, and then had quite a few friends open up breweries in those areas and worked at breweries. So I got myself into some of those breweries as far as just helping out for free, just getting in there and
What are we talking about? Like Aslan?
no, not far north. So like Skookum Brewery in Arlington there.
Oh, yeah. I know Skookum.
One of my good friends was a head brewer there for a long time, named Paulus. He's moved about to Pennsylvania. I think he's over in Evergreen Brewery now.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so he's over there. Couple other brewery owners, James at large. He started kind of similar to Adam that you've had conversations with, brewery in a house.
Are we talking about Adam from Alliteration Ales?
Adam Alliteration. He's kind of had a brewery in his house and then moved on to other facilities and kind of endeavored with him into that a little bit. And did a lot of research and development for a lot of the couple of those breweries, where my system I could really hone in on some recipe development and try different things. That hey, go try this and go try this and try this combo with this, and I was always constantly doing that for them, bringing them samples and beers and kind of going about doing it that way. I'm definitely not new to the brew house. I've been around it quite a few times.
Well, where did you find Jake?
Boy,
Jake found us.
I found you guys.
Jake found us. I think I deleted a few emails that came through on the first round, but he kept on knocking on the door, and I'm glad he did. We really have a team, a collaborative effort here in this brewery, and Marcos has done an amazing job getting us to where we're at, and then now with Jake kind of joining in the forces, having that water chemistry background, a lot of hazy experience. These two guys. Really going to take this brewery to the next level.
That's fantastic.
And for me, it's a pure passion. Like I'm very passionate about craft beer.
Yeah, Marcos is done with that. He's on to the business side of it.
Yeah.
He's here to make money, right, Marcos?
Yeah, and I'm just I could be going back and doing electrical work, but this is where my passion lies. And when we moved down here, that was a decision my wife and I had where I wanted to pursue full-time brewing, and that was kind of part of the move down here, was to be able to afford to do that.
Now, Marcos, you were seemingly chained to that old building down there on Chinden, right? You were at Bella.
Yeah, I've been. I'm pretty much the only constant through the number of changes.
It was that building, but the one by where Ruckus is now, right?
Yeah, Garden City in Chinden.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just tell us a little bit about your journey and kind of what's been going on there.
Yeah, so it started back in, I think, 2015-ish. Had always been into craft beer, drinking craft beer. Mike had mentioned one of my best friends, David, earlier. Him and I kind of got into it together, just drinking it and trying different breweries and whatnot. And Hoff Brewing at the time was looking for a bartender and had free time, so I said, why not? Let's do it. Bartended a couple of days a week, and wasn't long after that they ended up selling and changing over to Bella Brewing. And the brewer there at the time, Ron, was looking for help. He had an assistant, but he took off, so I just offered to help out, with no intention of making this a career or getting into it. I just, saw a guy needed some help and I had some time, so I was like, why not? Started cleaning kegs and just doing grunt work, and slowly, got more and more involved on the brewing side and recipe development
So we need to solve an issue that we've long had on this show. Was it Hoff then Bella or Bella then Hoff?
So it was Hoff Brewing.
And was there one before Hoff?
Hoff was the original. So
okay.
Brian and Lisa Hoff were the OGs.
Shout out to Brian.
Who purchased all the equipment, set everything up. I want to say
painted the building pink.
Painted it pink and blue. Yeah. Some of our kegs still have the embossment on there.
It's never coming off. That pink is never coming off.
Just put a decal right over it.
Yeah, it's never coming off.
So then they sold to Tom and Trish Day, changed it over to Bella Brewing.
Okay, so it's Hoff then Bella.
Then Bella, and then it changed ownership again, and they kept the name, changed the logo.
They kept the Marcos.
Kept the Marcos. And then after
was your name was in the contract, right? You have to just keep it.
Apparently. Then from there, they sold to Chris and Bethany, who changed it to Loose Screw, and they're the ones who opened up that McMillan and Linder location. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we got Mike.
Mike just had to go bribe a public official really quick.
No, I've loved every minute of it. I mean, every owner has been better than the last, and Mike is by far the best. And has opened this up, has made this possible. And I never foresaw myself being able to venture on something like this, to be able to build a system from the ground up the way we want it. It's just...
Well, it's been kind of fun for me and for other people kind of in the Treasure Valley that know you to kind of see your progression as a brewer too. Because at Hoff, you had a couple of nice beers at Hoff. And then at Bella, you had probably, I'd say 3 or 4 beers that I remember that were really, really tasty. And now here at Loose Screw, it seems like you have 4 or 5 that I've had, at least, that are all of them have been really good. So congratulations to you. Happy to see kind of your growth as a brewer and your growth, not only that, but as a money-making brewer. I mean, look what you've done. You've got this whole giant place. You and Mike and Jake here in this amazing place. And this is just a really awesome, like we said, brew pub. You have a little video on it, I know. But I kind of want to talk about, just real quick, you guys were kind of without a home for the last few months, so to speak. You guys sold the other building to Ruckus, and you were kind of out and about. Tell me what that was like, being sort of a little bit of a gypsy brewing kind of situation.
Yeah, we got out a little ahead of our skis, with this project and needing to sell that old facility, really to create a little capital and liquidity going into this project. But with the project and again, build back in the 50s, we hit some snags along the way that caused some significant delays. So, that gap of being down from brew house to brew house definitely was exaggerated due to some issues, with this building. So, it's awesome to have a great new brewery here and tap room, but if we don't have any beer to serve in our tap room, it's kind of tough to open up the doors. So we were faced with, hey, complete construction, and then now we've got 2-3 months worth of brewing on our hands before we can actually open up the door, or we start to seek out some other kind of opportunity. I know you've mentioned it on your podcast before, but this is such a supportive community, especially here locally within this industry. There's no other industry that I know of that's quite like the local craft beer scene here in Idaho. where everybo's got everybody's back. Whether we've supported Ruckus a ton in other breweries where their keg washer goes down, so we're washing their kegs for them, or giving out product when someone needs something for a brew they've got going. We're all just here to step up and help out everybody, which was the case with Black Canyon. So and knowing Amanda out there at Black Canyon and the new proprietors of Black Canyon Tap House, just reaching out to them, it was a shot in the dark because I knew that they were going to be closing. And asked if she would basically hold on to her brewery license there and allow some contract brewing to be done for us to allow us to open up these doors, and she was all for it. So we pulled off what did we say, about 3 to 4 months worth of brewing off of that system. A little bit of a smaller system than we would have liked, but I can't complain, and we've got beer in the taps to be able to open up.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure they get one of those named seats downstairs, right? Where they can just boot someone out.
Anytime for you.
What are I guess for you guys, and we talked about it a little bit, but what are some specific beers and breweries? And even for you, Mike, you're a big beer fan. What are some beers and breweries that sort of inspired you guys to kind of work at a brewery or start a brewery?
Well, I'll start out knowing one. My very first craft beer, I went to Chico State and went to my first party, and it was pale.
Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, baby.
I took my first sip of that, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to drink this shit. It
tasted like straight up soda.
It tasted horrible. But then that journey, that really set off the journey for me personally. And, especially, born and raised, in that surrounding state, to not be named, but, some amazing craft breweries in that area. So really started to cut my teeth and start that journey. And then, honestly, when I got into, craft brewery lending, it was just an easy fit because I was already passionate about the industry and got to learn. I think most brewery owners, especially here locally, kind of come into it from being a home brewer first, and me coming into it from a passion of just working with them on the business side.
1 out of 2 brewers in this room came to it from that, right?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, so that's kind of been my journey with craft.
Yeah, Sierra Nevada. What about you two?
First beer, don't laugh at this one, but that broke the Coors Light to the craft beer was a blue moon for me. So that was probably, I'd say, 2006, 7-ish.
I got a text from my mom, I'm not even kidding, a month ago. Have you had this blue moon?
Yeah. So that's kind of the segue for me is the blue moon there. And kind of hey man, there's actually some beers with taste and flavor, And that kind of got me on to the buying more craft beer and kind of getting more into the beer scene. And like I said, that was about 2007, 8-ish when that happened, and about 2010 is when I really kind of submerged myself into the beer scene there and started.
Yeah, you were lucky. You came around then. When Mike and I were trying craft beer, it was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of it. Maybe Heineken? I can't even. I had in college, my friend of mine was like, hey, try this. And I was like, God, that is terrible. I'll have another one. And then, these crazy, and then Gordon Biersch was another one. I just remember that one. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, go ahead.
My very first craft beer was Brother Thelonious, a Belgian beer.
That's a great one.
At a, probably pretty famous beer bar around town that used to be here.
You're gonna make me cry.
Brewphoria. Yeah. So I remember just rolling by. I was on my longboard one day, saw Brewphoria. Never tried craft beer. Just decided to pop in and had a couple. And
shout out to Rick, nice guy.
Yeah. Next thing I know, I'm calling for a ride and going back time after time. I live nearby, so I was just. And it wasn't ever one specific beer. Those guys were bottle shop, tap room, known for the variety. And so I just started trying everything I could get my hands on. And I think, Brother Thelonious being a Belgian beer, I've always loved Belgians. That's kind of where it started. And I know Jake is a fan as well, so I think we'll be kicking out some of those.
Belgian beers are the best. It's so good. Was that the one? Was Marvin there? Was Marvin there when you
Marvin was there, yeah. McKinney, yeah.
Mike Marvin is a good dude. Yeah, shout out to those guys before you. They were like the OGs here in the valley for craft beer for sure. And then Beer 30 was the other one. The place I really like to go to. No longer here at RIP, yeah. So you guys smartly, I would say, made Meridian your home. I think it's smart. There have been a couple other breweries that have tried it out here. What do you guys think separates you from the other breweries that have tried to be out here in Meridian?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the engagement, and, under our first year of ownership here, we won Best Small Business of the Year award from the Meridian Chamber. We've been recognized by the city council as well for Best Small Business, but we're just engaged in the community. We need to make some money, we need to pay the bills, but at the end of the day, we're here for the community and really trying to build something special. I feel that this location is really going to, even elevate that even more. So we're just looking forward to this new project, being engaged in this downtown community, and we've really decided to call Meridian, our home. We are the only producing brewery here in Meridian, but at the same time, we want to see this kind of craft beer scene here in Meridian flourish too. We've got some other craft beer bars here in downtown, and we want to collaborate with them and do, hot passports and other things. And as you know, Steve, I'm on the board for Idaho Brewers United, and I appreciate you always giving them shout outs during this podcast. But we want to engage them and get really build that scene down here in downtown Meridian. And just know that although there are some amazing breweries in Garden City and Boise, but you can now come to downtown Meridian and get that same experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I think down here is not even burgeoning anymore. I think the people down here love craft beer. I remember when I was selling beer, this was like downtown Meridian. I would spend like almost a whole day down here going to all these places, and I did very well for that. With that, like you have, well, it's not the fly. What's the pizza place that used to be? Now it's something else. 730 Common or 830.
830 Common.
Yeah, 830 Common.
You've got Heritage Hop House.
Yeah, Heritage Hop House, which used to be a pre-funk, and then you have the little bar down the street. It used to be Paul's. It's not that anymore. But yeah, you have a lot of awesome places down here that are already bringing people in for craft beer, and now you guys are going to be right here, just serving it fresh. So I think it's awesome. I mean, I don't think you could ask for a better location, honestly. And what's sort of, with this perfect spot and everything where you guys are, what do you think, maybe if someone's looking to come out to downtown Meridian for a night out, especially with all the new bars and stuff that are out there as well, what do you think you can offer that's kind of different than what everyone else down here is offering?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of got, if you would, kind of a one-stop shop with, our food component that I want to share about. But even if it's not that, hopefully we're just a stop along in their journey, whether they're going across the street to Finch 61 for dinner, or even across the way over to Eppy's amazing Basque food. Come stop, have a pre-game beer with us, and then continue on.
And do you want to be the first stop or the last stop?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of other last stops too that are open a little later than us too. But no, I mean, if you are coming to us for that beer, I'm really happy to share. And I mentioned it in our video, but Big Beats and Carlos, he's finally building his first trailer that he'll be cooking everything out of. He's been doing these pop-ups at other awesome breweries out there, including Payette, Mother Earth, Burt's. But he's been setting up a blacktop griddle and kind of doing this pop-up at all these spaces. So happy to have Carlos be his permanent home here with Loose Screw, and just out there in the beer garden, which he'll be not only serving up those awesome tacos and quesadillas, but he's bringing a whole new menu and a catering menu up to our event space.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I've had their food before. It's awesome. Really, really good stuff, and I think it'll fit right in here with what you guys are doing, especially in that beer garden, which, if you go check out the video, but if you haven't, the beer garden out there is outstanding. It's really cool. There's a little lawn kind of area, and then there's like a nice covered area too. So what are the plans for that moving forward? Are you guys going to have cornhole tournaments and stuff like that? I mean, what are you guys looking to do out there?
Yeah, with during winter, obviously we're entering that right now. I think today we're going to be enclosing that patio space just to allow a little more square footage. Also, we're going to bring in a little fire pit down there just to kind of bring in that outdoor vibe, but not subject to the ultimate elements outside. During the summer, I'm really stoked about that area, being able to open it up. We'll have cornhole, all those kind of lawn games. We've got a TV out there as well. 20 bar stools wrapped around that bar that all faces Main Street. But beyond that, we talked about the parking here. We've got a large parking lot, and directly across the street from us is a public parking spot too. So we'd love to host some beer festivals and shut down our parking lot right out back. Or we've been approached by some craft markets that want to start here on a Saturday or Sunday. So we're just looking forward to the versatility of this property, and not just making it about us or Big Beans, really bringing in other brewery friends or other local small businesses to be able to collaborate with.
That's awesome. And I think, it's all about neighborhood when you're a craft brewery, right? Oh, here it comes. Go ahead. There it is.
Trying not to make this on the new floor.
Well, it's only brand new. Don't worry about it. And this is what we have right now is the fresh hop. Go ahead and tell me a little bit about this, guys.
This is I'll let these guys talk, but this is by far kind of my favorite time of the year. We try to source as much local product as we can through, either our local friends here or grain out of Pocatello. But this one coming out of Jackson Hop Farm, dear friends of ours, they'll be out here at our soft opening. Why don't you guys talk about that Crystal hop?
Yeah, it's a fresh hop beer. Obviously, very special beer. A lot of people around here know just our proximity to the hop fields, Idaho being number 2 in growth in the nation. We can get them faster than most anybody. We decided to go with an English IPA on this one. So this was one of the beers we brewed out in Emmett. We did a couple English style beers back to back, this being one of them. So we went all English malt on this, Maris Otter, English yeast, English hops. And we were really we wanted a specific hop variety from Jackson. We wanted the Crystal, which just lended itself really well to this style. It's an American, it's a US variety, but it has English style pedigree background, and as far as the flavor goes as well, it just really fit that English style IPA bill. It gives celebration, as the kids like to say. It gives celebration. It has that really familiar malt bill. It just is like a nice fresh harvest beer. Yeah, being an English IPA, it's not, as you can see, pale. It's pale in color. Got some. It's not blonde. It's not straw. A little bit of maltiness to it. So it was about 45 pounds, 50 pounds of fresh hop, English hops. We did throw some Crystal pellets, T90 pellets, and some East Kent Goldings into the fermenter as well. Did something new to us. It was a dip hopping. So we basically had some pellets in the fermenter, filled that fermenter up with some post-boil wort, sealed that guy up, did our fresh hop addition, and knocked out the rest of the beer into there. So it's not dry hop, but it's got some great hop flavor, I think, in part because of that dip hopping, in part because of the 45 pounds of fresh Crystal, some late kettle additions. But yeah, just something different. Most fresh hop IPAs are, they're American style IPAs. They're hoppy American pales.
Sure.
So to have something with some malt backbone to it and some earthiness to it and spiciness from those crystals, it's just different. And I think that's one thing we're both about, is just trying new things and working with new ingredients, new hops. Right. Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's got like a lemony kind of note to it on the nose, kind of grassy.
It does.
It's not and earthy. I think earthy is and honey. I get a lot of some honey on there, and then in the flavor profile you get some pine and some resin, stuff like that. That really comes through along with that lemon and grass. I think it's really nice. It's a nice fresh hop beer. I think it's nice in that it's not in your face as an American IPA would be, or a pale ale.
And for sure that's kind of why we went that direction with the English style IPA. Was like Marco said, you get so many regular pales and IPAs out there where we kind of wanted to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, and look, if you want to do something different with fresh hop, do something different like this. Don't make a fucking Pilsner. Like, I don't need a Pilsner. I don't need a fresh hop Pilsner. I don't need it. Like, I'm not here for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was at the Hoptober Festival, and like 3 or 4 places they had fresh hop. Not to throw any shade on anyone that had one, because they all tasted fine. But I don't need it. Like, it's not for me. I need something with a backbone to it. Something where I can taste the hops. Don't auger a fresh hop beer, for the love of God. Can I get a name? Man, so that's a great beer. 2 great ones. Nice job, guys. Thanks a lot for sharing those beers with me. I really appreciate it. Also, I really appreciate that you guys called your Schwartz beer, May the Schwartz be with you. I don't know if you know this, at Epic or at Edge, we called ours Dark Helmet. So a little bit of great minds thinking alike there. Can't wait to see what other Spaceballs puns you guys come up with. So you guys so far have been kind of taproom only. Maybe you've distributed a couple kegs here and there. I'm not sure what your distribution looks like. But when are you guys planning to offer maybe a small package or something that we can take home?
Yeah, a canning line is definitely something that we're considering. We've got a couple of opportunities with 2 specific opportunities that really need a canned option, which could potentially pay for that canning line. But really, right now, the main focus is getting this place up and going. So we'll probably fill that out right after the first of the year. As for right now, to-go options come in a crowler or growler option out of our tap room. But yeah, our distribution kind of network is pretty small. Honestly, we're on draft at places that I want to be on. We're a little selective with where we go. I want to make sure it's good marketing for us within this Meridian kind of larger market. So you'll find us over at the Boise Hawks and Roaring Springs, several golf courses, and some of the surrounding restaurants around us right now.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good way to go. I mean, well, now that you're going to be able to brew more beer, though, you're going to have to expand maybe to a couple other places. Maybe not just where you want to be, maybe where they want you.
Yeah,
so that might be something to think about.
And definitely, I love the desire to bring us on draft at some of these other local cities. We get hit up quite often. If we'll go out to Caldwell or Boise. At the end of the day, we're really building this to be a taproom model. Supply those 2 tap rooms and really have fun at that. You probably won't see us going with a distributor anytime soon, if at all. We really want to stay here local and just focus on quality beer, providing a good experience within these 2 taproom spaces that we have.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense to me. Keep a little bit of money in your pocket too. Pay for this beautiful new brewery, which is amazing, and as I said before, in a perfect spot. But a little bit of a but here, not from me, but from you guys. Is there anything looking back that didn't make it to the final plans that you wish you could have done here?
Oh man, gosh.
I'm grateful for what's here. So.
That's a good answer.
We can sit here and take a poke at a lot of things as being perfectionists and this and that, but man, it's pretty good to be here, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been an awesome journey. I can't wait to open up next week, which I guess would be the official.
It's already happened this week.
the official announcement.
Depending on when you listen to this.
Yeah. Whenever this drops, we probably won't post on our social media, for probably 2 weeks after really formally opening.
Yeah, this is the exclusive. We have the exclusive rights to the opening announcement. You guys are open in Meridian right now. Get out there and take a look at the new place. Go enjoy some beers. Check out the lacquered tables. They're gorgeous. Everything you guys have done here is just like an amazing, it's just an awesome spot. I can't say that. I mean, Marcos, talk to us a little bit. You have this giant new place now. This room that we're in right now is as big as the brewery you've been working in for the last 10 years. So it must be awesome just to be able to kind of come into work and see this thing, right?
It's actually a little smaller. I think Garden City we're like 1,900 square feet, 1,800, and the facility here is 1,000.
Are you just talking about the brewing facility?
The brewing area.
Yeah, but you guys in the Garden City was brewing and
it was tap
room and everything,
Yeah.
and the freezer. the refrigerator. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah.
This room that we're in right now is almost as big, if not bigger, than the tap room in Garden City.
Yeah, we got a bigger system too.
Yeah.
I think one of the key features I like, where we're at right now is private event center used to, extend it all the way. So where the glass wall is, was all flooring, and because of the taller tanks that we have, we knocked out the floor to allow those tanks to extend up into that. I'm not sure if we mentioned, we do have two 20-barrel fermenters. We are a 10-barrel system, but we've got two 20s. Those guys are obviously pretty tall, very tall, skinny HLT. We've got a mounted grist case above our mash tun. That's actually our tallest vessel. So all four of those tanks, stick up into this room, where before this was all just floor. So definitely good use of space.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun here. I think it's going to work out really well for you. Well, Loose Screw Brewing Company, Mike, Jake, and Marcos, thank you so much for having me out here today. I encourage everyone to check out the video, get a look at the place, and then come on out here to downtown Meridian and check out the brewery yourself, because it is a really cool spot and one that they've been working on. How long have you been working on this place? Like a year?
A little over 2 years.
2 years.
Actually working on it, yeah. Of actual construction, we're 9 months into construction.
9 months. So you guys have been waiting for at least 9 months, almost a year, to move into this place. So congratulations on the new brewery. I'm really happy for you guys. I'm really excited that you guys are pumping out some awesome beers. I really do love this fresh hop. The hazy was amazing too. So I'm excited to come and try this place out and see what you guys are able to do with a fully open and going brew pub. So is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything else you want to push or publicize before we wrap up today?
Man, just want to say thank you, Steve. What you're doing here for the local craft beer scene, promoting that, and IBU. We're a strong little guild here, but definitely has some ambitious growth opportunities here going forward and growing the craft beer scene. So I appreciate what you're doing for it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Nice of you to say. And yes, you guys are a strong union in that Sheila lifts tires. That's what she does for fun. She pushes tires across rooms. That's her favorite thing to do. And she'll tell you that it's not, but it is. That's what she likes to do. She's a CrossFit maniac. So, well, thanks a lot for having me out here, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the beers. Thanks for the company. And I can't wait to see you guys open and see what happens when everybody starts packing this place. Of course, I'm not going to be able to get in. I will be waiting outside with everybody else because you guys are going to be stupid busy for the next year and a half. So I hope you find a nice island or somewhere to hide all the money you're going to be making, because it's going to be a lot of money. So thanks a lot. Thanks again for having me out here. I really appreciate it. This has been Loose Screw Brewing here on the Idaho Booze Podcast. We're going to be right back at Friday Night Pints, and I'm going to review some of these beers that I'm trying right now, and that's going to be happening right after this. This show is sponsored by Like Button and likebutton.us. Looking to make a splash with your next ad campaign, but don't have the time to set up ads on Google, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, Bing, Cheddarboy, Yahoo, LinkedIn, DuckDuckGo, RazorSharp, Instagram, all the digital platforms that you have to get to out there. Oh, goodness. Like Button will get your campaigns going on these platforms and put together a strategic ad plan that makes sense for your company. Not some cookie cutter campaign built for somebody else. Each strategy built from the ground up, tailored for your business. Get back to doing what you love. Leave the rest to Like Button at likebutton.us. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. This week in Friday Night Pints, we are going to focus on Loose Screw. Why not? They invited me out to their brewery for the soft opening, and I'm going to pay them back with a little love on Friday Night Pints. Plus, our friends from Barbarian put out their winter beer releases. Oh, I'm so excited. These are such great beers. So we will get to those right after Loose Screw. So without further ado, this week's Friday Night Pints. We're starting with Loose Screw's Mike's Mild. The brew team over there, they have an affinity for low ABV beers. I'm telling you, there's a bunch on the list there, and I'm not hating it. As, someone who's creeping into his mid-40s, I like a low ABV beer. So this one is Mike's Mild. They have, and in addition to this one, they have the Batty Bombshell Blonde Ale, Getting Loose Table Beer, and they have a Vienna Lager and some other things. So this one's Mike's Mild, just 3.6 ABV. Now, when I see a low ABV like this at a craft brewery, I expect one of two things, and it's either going to be too sweet or too dry. Fortunately, Looks like these guys, Marcos and Jake, worked on this one for a bit. Mike's Mild comes across with just the right amount of malt character and hoppy bitterness. That reminds me of one of those kind of mild or bitter beers that they have in England. Excellent lunch beer for sure, 3.6 ABV. And you can get all of these on tap at both Loose Screw locations. I think they have crowlers too, so you can take them home if you like. This next one is one we talked about in the interview. This is the Meridian Haze. The look of this beer is, it's just like a sunset with orange, yellow, golden hues right throughout and a clean white head. The aroma is very tropical, pineapple, orange zest, mango, some passion fruit in there, all coming up through that fluffy white head on top. Now, when you get into the beer, pineapple is dominating the palate for sure. It's very much pineapple beer with a touch of mango, passion fruit, and ripened melon coming through there as well. So that pineapple's in there. It's primarily pineapple, and it tastes great. So you're going to like it. The real star here is just how it looks, because I don't think I've ever seen a beer with those kind of colors before. And then I know in the pod or back in the interview, Jake talked about what he did to kind of create those colors. So kudos to Jake. Great job on that beer. 6.8%, 40 IBU. Check that one out at Loose Screw. City of Dreams. This is their Vienna lager. This is another lower ABV beer, and it pours pretty dark, almost amber color, with a thin white head that slowly kind of dissipates back into the beer. Honey, caramel, grassy hops, and a touch of yeast come through up on the nose. Not, unlike any other lager, you get some of that fermentation on the nose, just a little bit. It's not like a ton, so no big deal there. Honey, graham crackers, light toffee, all come through in the tongue with a nice bitterness on the back end. Finishes the beer off nicely. I'm happy to say in the flavor, you don't get any of that fermentation. So sometimes with craft lagers, you get that. This one, you do not. Nice little Vienna lager. I would give it a shot if you are inclined. You can get that on tap at Loose Screw. 5.5%, only 19 IBU, so not too hoppy either. So let's get to the hops a little bit here. The Red Rider Rye IPA, say that 5 times fast. And now we're talking my language. Not only do they have a rye IPA on tap, which I'm all in on that, but they named it after A Christmas Story's titular BB gun. It pours dark red, has an off-white head that sticks nicely to the glass. You get some black pepper, rye, that toasty kind of bread on the nose with some pine and resin, some other kind of hoppy notes. The peppery rye comes through nicely on the palate with pine, resin, orange, and a nice bitterness. Finishes off the beer really nicely. This is a tasty rye. Give it a shot. 6.7% ABV, 57 IBU on tap at Loose Screw. And then finally we have a West Coast style IPA. This is called Coastal Crush West Coast IPA. It's named, we all remember the nice experimental HBC 586 hop, right? You guys remember that one? Sure. Well, they got a name for it. It's called Crush Hops with a K for whatever reason. These new hops are used generously in this IPA. You get kind of an amalgam of aromas with this beer. There's some strawberry in there, some stone fruit, maybe like peach, apricot, touch of grapefruit. Flavors come through in the profile with heavy notes of peach, grapefruit zest, some strawberry, maybe a little blueberry in there as well. It's almost like a hazy IPA disguised as a West Coast IPA. I'm here for it. Nice IPA, 7%, 60 IBU. Get that at Loose Screw at their brand new and their place opening. Opened yesterday on Thursday, so get in there and check it out. Downtown Meridian. You can go and see it. You'll find it. It's on Main Street, and it's right where there's a giant Loose Screw sign. You can't miss it. Nice place. Thanks a lot to the guys, Mike, Jake, Marcos, everybody over there at Loose Screw for having me over. Really appreciate that. Now we're going over to Barbarian. Oh, man, these guys put out these winter releases every year, and they are nuts. Crazy stuff going on at Barbarian. Their winter barrels. You can get all of these on draft or to go in cans or bottles from both Barbarian locations. So the first one up is Peppermint Bark. I remember this one last year pretty vividly. It's a golden stout, and they make it with peppermint, white chocolate, and vanilla. So James is very much in his bag on this one. This one, I remember, I think I had it, I had a little taster of it, and it was a little pepperminty for me. And I think one of the owners, Bree, suggested that I try it with the Morgan Stout. It's kind of sort of like a black and tan. So I did that, and that was pretty good. It was pretty minty, but that's what they were trying to do. So if you're ordering this beer, you know what you're getting. It's mint. So I recommend trying it with that Morgan. Or by itself, if you like the mint, by all means, have at it. 7.5%. Nice little peppermint beer. I think those golden stouts are kind of fun. So, nice little beer. Give it a try. Then Elixir of the Gods. This is the 2024 release. And in this one, it's tough to do because that name is a lot. But this name really does live up to the liquid in this case. the beer is really fucking cool. It's a Belgian quad brewed with raspberries. So that's already like, I'm in on that. Then it's aged in single-use port barrels, which is like just flavor on flavor on flavor. The port barrel really takes those raisin and kind of overripened fruit and fig flavors that you find in the beer and jacks them up to 11, while the raspberries sort of balance out those big flavors with a touch of sweetness. The alcohol sort of just holds it all together, almost like a glue. So go try this one. It's going to be gone soon. This one goes fast. 12% ABV. Go ahead and get that Elixir of the Gods over there at Barbarian. Either one, both of them. The Morrigan is back out, 2024. I'm going to talk more about this one next week in my Black Friday Stout special. This is my probably second favorite beer Barbarian makes. And this year's barrel-aged version is done in Woodford casks. So count me in. I will be getting a couple cans of this for sure, or bottles, or however they serve it. So I'm pumped out to try it. You should be as well. 12% ABV over there at Barbarian. And then they're doing a little variant here, Cherry Almond Morgan. This is also, I think it's probably just the same beer aged in Woodford casks. This one with the addition of cherries and almonds sounds amazing, 12%. And I would get that sooner rather than later also. It sounds like they only did maybe 1 or 2 barrels of that. So not a lot of bottles there. And then it looks like we have a re-release from last year, Thor's Might 2023. This is their barley wine. It's been a minute, I think, since I've had this one. I think it's maybe been 2 years since I've had this one, maybe 3. But, man, I am pretty sure this is the one that's jam-packed with that overripened fruit. Again, like that fig, like almost like a fruit cake is just thrown in a blender with a bottle of whiskey. That's kind of what this beer is. It's aged in bourbon barrels. Look for a mild vanilla sweetness and some whiskey there on the back end. I really do remember liking this beer before everything sort of went hazy and dark. So great name, great beer, 13%. You can get this one in bottles only at both Barbarians. So that's it for Friday Night Pints. We'll be right back to wrap things up, and I'll tell you all about next week's show coming up next on the Idaho Booze Podcast. Friday Night Pints is brought to you by Idaho Brewers United. Did you hear? IBU is going digital with the new Idaho Brewers Trail app. It used to be a map, and now it's an app. Want to know if your favorite beer is on tap at your favorite brewery? Check the app. Want to earn points towards amazing prizes from local breweries? Check the app. Need to get that hot goss going on in the brewing industry? Check the app, people. Be the first on your block to have the app by signing up for the Idaho Brewers United Brew newsletter at idahobrewers.org. Go to idahobrewers.org, sign up for the newsletter today, and get the app. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. We're going to wrap things up. Thanks a lot to Loose Screw, Mike, Marcos, Jake, everyone else over there during the soft open. You guys did a great job. Awesome place. Can't wait to see how everybody loves it. I'm sure they will. Like I said, sweet place, great location, good beers, really nice atmosphere. You guys are gonna love it. Cool fucking place. Thanks to Treasure Valley Chevron, IBU, Boise Beer Buddies for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate it. Like button, you as well. If you need anything on them, we have links to them in show notes. You can check that out, including our Boise Beer Buddies code BoozePod, where you can get 2 for 1 on Beer Buddies cards and go use them at the new Loose Screw. I think you get 10% off beer, $1 off beer, something like that. So check that out. Thanks to everybody else out there listening. Really appreciate you guys checking the show out. We are now on YouTube podcasts. So if you or your friends or anyone you know has been waiting, has been like, I don't know about this Idaho Booze Podcast, they don't seem very serious. They're not even on YouTube. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? We are on YouTube, and we are good to go on there. It's looking real nice on YouTube. So check it out on there. Make sure you subscribe. You can subscribe YouTube. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Pods, Substack. Substack's probably the best deal because you get that shipped to your email every week, so you don't have to go looking around for it in Apple or Spotify. It just ships right to your email. So I'd go Substack if I were you, but those other ones are good as well. So Spotify, Apple Pods, and now on YouTube as well. Check out the video tour of Loose Screw before you go. Be sure to check out their new place this weekend in downtown Meridian. That video tour is on YouTube. It's also on my Substack and on my Facebook, so you can check that out there as well. Next week, ooh, baby, it's Black Friday, and we're doing a stout spectacular with Epic Brewing brewmaster Clay Turnbow. Steve, what do you mean? That's in Utah. Well, Clay knows a little bit about stout, and Epic was nice enough to send me this year's releases of Big Bad Baptist. There's like 6 of them, and Clay is going to tell us all about them. We go through about 4 of them in depth and talk about all of them, and we have a lot of fun with that. We have a lot of fun kind of learning what his process is when you make one of these variant stouts. So he's got like 300 barrels that he's using to make Big Bad Baptist. He has the Big Bad Baptist they put out all year round. And then they have these other ones that they did. And there's like a banana one, there's a cherry one, there's an old fashioned. There's a bunch of them this year. We're going to go through a bunch of them and talk about them, about what his thought process was with them, why they did a banana one, how he sort of picks out the barrels, what goes into barrel tasting, why they did a banana one. We're just going to go through a lot of fun stuff there with Clay, and he's a great guest. You guys are going to love him. And it's right our neighbor to the south. So you guys will get to meet Clay. Awesome dude. We talk about all things stout, including our favorite stouts. I'm going to have a bunch of fun local stouts as well. While you're perusing Amazon for deals, you can listen to Black Friday with me on the Idaho Booze Podcast. Thanks again for listening. Be sure to check out our new YouTube podcast feed. We're also on Spotify, Apple Pods, and Substack, like I said before. And that Substack deal is really nice. You get the show in your inbox each and every week, along with a Friday Night Pints column, which is backed by popular demand. Thank you so much for that. Get in touch with the show by emailing us at idahoboozepod@gmail.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and X. That's going to do it for episode 21 of the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz. We'll see you next week for Black Friday. Good day and good drinking, everyone.